In Chapter 20 of Superbugs, what did you mean by Trojan horses?
The Trojan horse approach is something that we're now using to treat patients with superbugs. And it's a brilliant idea. It's been around for a while, but it's recently become in vogue again. The idea is that superbugs are evading many of our best antibiotics, so we have to come up with a new way to get those drugs inside of bacteria. And so there's this Trojan horse approach. I'll lay it out very simply, which is that we know bacteria love to eat certain nutrients. One of the things that they love to chew up is iron. They will see iron and swallow it very quickly. So what we're doing is we're attaching antibiotics to iron. And this is the Trojan horse approach, which is that the bacteria, the dangerous bacteria, will see iron and gulp it up. But in the process, they swallow the antibiotic as well. And it's a way of destroying the bacteria without having to let them become resistant to it. And you will be seeing more of this in the future, where we're trying to attach antibiotics to essential nutrients that the bacteria like to eat. It's a tricky thing because you don't want to have it become too toxic of a level where it hurts the humans. So what we look at is something called this therapeutic window, which is what is the dose of a drug we can give somebody that's safe for the human but deadly for the bacterium.
Are there any government agencies protecting us from superbugs?
Oh yes, there are many agencies that are at work on this. The first is the National Institute of Health. The NIH is responsible for coming up with what are the scientific priorities of the country. And one of the top priorities is developing new antibiotics. What people may not appreciate is how this process unfolds. The government is very good at investing in top scientific talent to discover new antibiotics. But then, once an antibiotic is discovered, the pharmaceutical companies come in because it's so risky to study that new antibiotic that someone's got to take the financial risk. If it's going to cost $1 billion to do testing to see if that new drug is really as promising as we think, well, the federal government doesn't want to take that on. And so what you see is big pharma coming in and saying, we'll roll the dice. And that's a private-public partnership that we've relied upon for the past 2 generations. But what we're seeing is that this partnership is dissolving, that increasingly the pharmaceutical industry is saying, we don't know that we want to make this investment anymore. And so there are talks about enticing the pharmaceutical industry to do more. And these are called push and pull incentives. A push incentive is to go to a pharmaceutical company and say, hey, your corporate tax rate is 18%. What if we cut it to 15%, provided you invest the excess profits, or at least a portion of the profits, in new antibiotics? It's a provocative idea, but it also means tax cuts for big pharma. Some people may not be interested in that. Then there are things called pull incentives, which is to say to a company, if you invest $1 billion in 10 years of effort to get a drug approved by the FDA, well, rather than giving you 5 to 7 years of market exclusivity, what if we gave you 25 years? What if we allowed you to charge a higher rate for your drug for a longer period of time? These would entice companies to do more. May also drive up the cost of drugs. Then there is an approach, which is to say, if the pharmaceutical industry doesn't want to make new antibiotics, well, good riddance. Maybe the federal government should take over all of this. And you're going to be seeing more and more discussion about what role the pharmaceutical industry should play and what role the federal government should play in developing drugs for these superbugs. And that's going to be one of the great public health discussions we have in 2020 and beyond.